Hey guys, my name is Lena and today's video is going to be my drugstore essentials kit. Products that I think that you really need to have if you are just starting out with makeup, things that I thought are pretty affordable but really good quality. And I will also do, this is a tutorial using these products, so if you are interested in finding out how I kind of implement these, I'll make sure to link it as soon as it's up and I'll put it in the corner right here so you can watch that. But let's go ahead and jump in. So the first product I think is essential is a primer for your skin. Of course, you need to make sure you're taking care of your skin and doing skincare, but for a primer, I picked the Catrice Light Correcting Serum Primer. This is one of my favorite primers. It kind of absorbs into the skin almost immediately, creates a really beautiful illuminating look, but it's not so overpowering that if you were oily skin, you'd have a problem. I noticed that this absorbs so quickly. It does have a little bit of a tacky finish, so foundation adheres to it really nicely. And it does have like a glowy effect to the skin, but it's not super overwhelming. Now for foundation, I thought about my most foolproof foundations that have worked best for me. I also did do like my top favorite drugstore foundation, so if you'd like to check that video out, I'll make sure to link it over here as well as in the description. But the two that I think that if you had to start with a foundation, I would start with is the Maybelline Dream Cushion or the Maybelline Fit Me. I'm not sponsored out here by Maybelline. I just really like these foundations. So I think that cushion foundations are really simple and easy if you're a beginner. Liquid foundations sometimes can be intimidating. I swear it's not, and I'll show you guys in the tutorial of how I did this makeup exactly how I apply that foundation. This is a Dream Cushion. It's a little bit more pricey. I think almost double the price of the other one, but it does come with a little cushion in here. So you just take this and you're going to just press this into the cushion. You get the product on there and you can just apply this directly on your skin by patting it in. Very easy, very beginner friendly. Now if you're somebody who wants to try a liquid foundation, I think the Fit Me is really great. They have a pretty good range of color, but I also really like the fact that they have, this is the dewy and smooth for people with more dry skin, and they also have a smooth and poreless or something like that has like more of a blue text on here, but that's for people with oily skin, and I know people absolutely adore that foundation. So if you want something that is more of a natural finish, I think the Fit Me foundation is really great. Now for applying that foundation, I have two different ways I'd apply it. It's either a beauty blender type sponge or a brush. Now this is the Real Technique sponge. It is really easy to use. I literally just used it to apply my foundation today. It's a simpler version of just blending it in with a brush. Basically what you do is you take this sponge, you dampen it in the water under the sink, you squeeze out all the water, so you're going to use it damp, and you're going to use that to blend in your foundation, your concealer. You can even use it to apply powder, and it's just really nice and it gives you the most airbrushed, beautiful finish. So I think this is an essential step, especially if you're a beginner and you're going to be using liquid products. But if you're someone who's really into brushes, the NYX 03 brush is one of my favorites for liquid products. It really blends them in so nice, and I kind of just buff them in. But this is like my favorite. It works so well. Favorite concealer, the one that I would recommend for anybody from the drugstore, is the NYX HD Studio Concealer. This one is absolutely one of my favorites. It just works so well. I'm wearing it today. It covers, it conceals, and it doesn't look heavy. It doesn't really crease too much underneath my eyes, and I just find it that it's my favorite drugstore concealer. When it comes to a concealer, I think it's just so essential that someone brings this up if you've never purchased one. Your foundation should definitely match your skin, and I actually self-tan, so I try to match my body to make sure that the foundation that I'm getting matches my body, so that when I put it on, it all evens out, because I don't actually put self-tanner on my face. But when it comes to concealer, you want it a shade or two lighter than your foundation shade, just so it brightens up underneath the eyes. You can see this does not match my skin tone. It is like a shade or two lighter, but if I were to apply this underneath my eyes, it would brighten them, and that is why you see a brightening effect under my eyes. That is key. Hope somebody taught you that, and if not, hopefully you learned it here. Next thing I want to talk about is powder. Powder for me is essential because sometimes, especially in the summer, I do get a little oily and I like to make sure I have powder on my face. My favorite one for the longest time is the Rimmel Stay Matte. I think this is an essential powder in everybody's collection. It just works so well. I like the transparent one because I can put it on and not worry about it kind of having a flashback effect. Flashback is when you take a picture with a flash and all of a sudden you can see this like white cast wherever you're wearing powder. You don't want that because you don't want to look like a pale ghost. But I really do like this powder. It works really great, especially if you're oily. You just kind of pop it on with a powder brush and it works phenomenal. So definitely recommend that, and it's super duper affordable. For a powder brush, I actually really like this Wet n Wild P60 brush. Wet n Wild actually has really great brushes. I think they're just a really great price as well, and it's hard to beat the price of the Wet n Wild brushes. It's really great for blush and bronzer. I've been just using this one and obsessing over it. A few other brands have similar ones. The Real Techniques has kind of a similar egg-shaped brush. But again, it's up to you. I just really like the Wet n Wild ones. The other type of powder is loose powder. This is something that I would usually expect someone who's a little bit more experienced with makeup to use. I actually use this in the tutorial so you can see how I used it, but I like this more if you're putting it all over the face and trying to get more coverage rather than actually just getting a matte finish. So this is something that I really like. It's the Fit Me powder, loose finishing powder from Maybelline. Now, I use this also for baking sometimes. Baking is way high level. If you know how makeup, you know baking, then go for it if you can. If you're a beginner, baking is like such a step that might scare you, but if you know how to do it, then this is a great powder for it. I just use this with a brush and apply it all over my face. It's just a little bit more messy, so this is the type of powder that you would dunk it in here and then kind of swivel it in the lid so that you don't have too much product. Watch the tutorial, it'll make a lot more sense, but this is my favorite loose powder at the drugstore at the current moment. You don't need both powders if you like aren't somebody who's really obsessed with powders. I would just get the Rimmel one, but this is just like if you want an extra, you know, and it's a little bit more pricey. Now for eyebrows, I think that brow pencils are probably the easiest thing to use. Now everybody, when I started using makeup, didn't really do anything with their eyebrows, and I only started doing eyebrows once I kind of learned more about makeup. But I think that eyebrows really do frame the face, and if you don't do anything to your eyebrows, sometimes they can get covered in foundation and they just don't look finished, like your face just doesn't look finished, at least from my perspective. But I end up using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. This is one of my favorite brow pencils. It's pigmented enough that you can get like a good color, but it's also not too overpowering where it's like really harsh on the eyebrows. I use the shade Ash Brown, but they have a really good selection of colors, which I really like. And there's also a spoolie on the other side, which you can use to blend out the brow product so that it's not too harsh as well. So I really like this. I actually like this more than some of my high-end brow pencils, so I definitely recommend you play around with this one. And if you're someone who just doesn't want to do your eyebrows at all and you kind of want the simple route, the Essence Make Me Brow Eyebrow Mascara is actually really great. I love this because the way that you apply it is just like a mascara, but you apply this to your eyebrows and you kind of just use it as an eyebrow gel. It makes your eyebrows stay in place, but it also has a tint to it, so it does give it a little bit of color and kind of fills them in for you if you feel like the eyebrow pencil is a little too much. Now for bronzer, that's a little bit tricky for me at the drugstore. I only have a few that I really like. But my favorite one right now is the NYX Matte Bronzer in the shade Medium. I feel like the shade is really nice. It's very neutral. It's not too orange. It almost looks a little bit kind of beigey, which is really great, and I love this for when I'm like my tan shade right now. It works great as a contour powder as well. The medium shade is my favorite. I know that they have like deep and medium deep, I think, but definitely look out for it because the darker shades might be a little reddish. I'm iffy when it comes to bronzers. You really need to make sure that the shade is okay for you. The other one that's a little bit more pricey that everybody really loves, it smells like coconuts, is the Physicians Butter Bronzer. This is kind of like a everybody favorite. Now I got the lightest shade. They have 4 shades, I believe, but yeah, it has a little bit of a sheen to it. It's not like just completely matte. I don't know if you guys can see. I really like it, but the smell is a little bit overpowering, and it's pricey. I think it's like $15 or something, and like, I don't know, for me that's a lot at the drugstore. Physicians Formula really puts the prices up there. Now with contouring being all the rage, everybody wants to contour like Kim Kardashian or whatever. I have 2 palettes that I would recommend. This is the contouring palette from Wet n Wild, the Mega Glow. This one is in the shade Dulce de Leche, and I would say this is really good for pale skin tones. You see how it's like more of a neutral, almost like a gray toned contour, and it does have like a powder in there. I don't really use that much, to be honest, and it's really cheap, so it's like if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. But the other one is called Caramel Toffee, and you can see this one's a little bit more of a warmer toned bronzer shade. It's almost like a little bit like a little bit more orange, but not too much. And it has like a yellow powder, which works really great for brightening. But these are so big, there's so much of it, and they have like a good explanation of how to contour and highlight on the back. I just think that they're really nice for contouring. You can use them as bronzers as well. Good option. Out of all 4 of the options that I gave you, I personally would choose the NYX matte bronzer the most, just because it's super convenient for me and I don't necessarily need all of these powders, and I like the way that one blends into my skin the most. For blush, I couldn't help myself. My favorite one is definitely from Catrice. This is their Strobing blush. Now, strobing blush means that it's like glowy. I'm wearing it right now. I don't think it's super glowy. That's like my highlight, but I like it in the shade Mrs. Summer Peach. I just noticed that since my natural lip color is quite peachy, peach blushes look the best on my skin tone. So this is my favorite. They have a few shades that are really, really great. Again, Catrice is mostly the best option to get it from is Ulta. I don't know if I've seen them anywhere else, but I really do like Wet n Wild blushes as well if you're looking for a good blush. But I think blushes are a very personal thing, but this one is definitely my favorite right now. For highlight, I have 2 highlights for you guys. The first one that I'm wearing today is the Essence Pure Nude Highlight. This one is really great. Highlights are basically powders that you apply to the high points of your cheeks where you want a glow, just to illuminate the skin, give it a nice kind of shine. Now, this is the Pure Nude Highlight, and I personally think, oh, it's in the shade Be My Highlight, but I personally think that this is just a very nice beginner highlight because as much as I've used this, I've never overdone it. It's been very hard to apply too much and make myself look like a disco ball. So I think this is very beginner friendly, and someone who doesn't want like a super bright, intense highlight, this one's really great for you. If you're somebody who knows a little bit about makeup and you're willing to spend a little bit more on your highlights, this is the Maybelline Master Chrome in the shade Molten Gold. I applied a little bit of this on top of the one that I was wearing from Essence. This one, you guys, like the shade on this one is like, whoosh, like you are gonna see this from Mars if you wanted to. It's such a beautiful highlight, and I think that it's even better than some of my high-end ones. Now for a good contour brush or something that you want to, you know, apply bronzer a little bit more dedicated to certain spots than others, I would say the P65 from Wet n Wild is actually a really, really great brush. It's pretty narrow and small, but it blends really, really nicely, especially in this area. So if you're looking for a contour brush, this is definitely the one. Now, if you're going to use highlight, I think that you really do need to make sure that you invest in a highlight brush. This is the P75. I absolutely adore this. This is actually my favorite highlight brush out of like all the most expensive ones that I possibly own. I use this to apply my highlight every single day. Wet n Wild really outdid themselves with this one. So I like to apply a highlight using this brush because, as you guys saw, when I applied the highlight like this, it just looks like a streak of really bright color, and you don't necessarily want that. When you're applying highlight, you want it to look very subtle and as if it's your skin. So by using a brush like this, swiveling it in there, and then, you know, just applying it to the skin, do you see the difference? How it's like more subtle when it comes to a brush? So that's why a brush for highlight is very essential. You can't just take your finger into it and like just draw on here. It's not going to work out for you. I promise. When I first started with eyeshadows, I think the Maybelline color tattoos in the little pots were probably the thing that I wore most because they were so easy, and I actually ended up having almost all of the colors, and all their limited edition ones I used to buy, it was obnoxious, but they dried out pretty fast, so I stopped getting them. And I actually really like the eye chromes that they came out with recently. It's the same option, but just like in this little tube form. I really like these because they're so easy to use. The way that I apply them is literally just apply a little bit to the eye, and then you're going to use your finger, your best tools, to blend it out. I literally just kind of go back and forth all over the eye, and you create like a beautiful smoky effect. And I'm actually wearing that all over the eye, and it looks so, so, so pretty. I actually used eyeshadows with it after, but I think this is the simplest go-to. Now, if you're looking for an eyeshadow palette from the drugstore, I'd have to say Ulta's best recommendations Don't lie, I actually looked it up and I saw that this one had the best rating and people really loved it. So I actually got it recently and they were right. I do really like this palette. This is the Ultimate Warm Neutrals palette from NYX. I think that this is really nice. I just wish that they had a mirror in this because, I mean, that's so upsetting that you have to use a separate mirror. But this has some really great shades in here, and I think that this, I really like the Sonia Kashuk Matte Neutrals palette, but I think this one actually surpasses that one. I used it on the eyes today, but I like the fact that it has some cool tone dark shades, some warm tones. It just gives you some variety because I love this shade for all over in the crease, but I also really like cool tone shades. There's some nice light shades. The shimmer ones in here are nice, but I feel like they're not anything to get super excited about. They're like, they're cool, but like, I'm not gonna be, you know, dreaming about them. You know, they're not super shimmery, not super intense, but I do really like the mattes. Like this one right here is really gorgeous. This one right here is really great, and they just end up going and gliding. They're so buttery, so beautiful, and they also blend really nicely on the eyes, so that is probably the most important thing that really matters, but look at how gorgeous those are. As for eyeshadow brushes, I think Wet n Wild again did a really great job, and this is the P20. This is probably the best for a blending brush at the drugstore. What you're going to do is you're going to use this one mostly just kind of going back and forth like this to blend the shadow back and forth or all over the lid, but this will be really great to not put the eyeshadow on too harshly. It'll kind of create a nice fade, a nice shadow. The next one is the P15, which is more of a C-type brush. It can be a little bit of a blending brush, but it's more of like a paddle brush, so you can like pat on eyeshadow like this, or I even used it a little bit to buff out some darker shades right here in the outer corner. It's really nice for that. And the other one is the P10, which is a little bit more of a small. It's like a cone corner brush. This one's really great for applying eyeshadow underneath the eye, or even just packing in a really dark shade on the outer corner, or even using for a light shade in the inner corner. Don't feel pressured to just get the Wet n Wild brushes, because these are, I think from my perspective, some of the cheapest options that are really good quality, but I know the e.l.f. Studio line makes some really great eyeshadow brushes. I have a few of them. I also really like the Real Techniques brushes. I like the Moda brushes. Those are sold at Walmart. So there's good options. It's just up to you kind of which ones you want to get. Now moving on to eyelashes, one of my most essentials is a lash curler. I know sometimes these are intimidating to people who are brand new to makeup, but I think a lash curler is so essential, and this one's actually from NYX. I've used this for so many years, and I've actually bought expensive ones, and I still went back to this one. For mascara, I actually have a lot of favorites, and I want to do my favorite mascaras from the drugstore and kind of put them all on my eyes to compare them for you guys. But out of all the ones that I have, a few of them I know kind of only work for me, not for other people that I know of, and others that never really worked for me but work for everybody else. So I tried to find the one mascara that almost everybody I know loves, and that is the L'Oreal Voluminous in Carbon Black. Carbon Black is the darkest shade that L'Oreal makes, but they recently made the Lash Paradise, which is kind of an update to the Voluminous line. And this one just works the best. I think that everybody who's tried it has really enjoyed it. It's a little bit more of a sticky formula, but it really volumizes the lashes. It reminds me a lot of the Better Than Sex from Too Faced Cosmetics. For eyeliner, I am not someone who recommends trying eyeliner if you're new to the makeup game, because it's a little bit intimidating and overwhelming. But if you are someone who really likes a winged eyeliner and you want to try to practice, I really like the Catrice Glam and Doll Super Black Liner. This is waterproof for you, because I do find that that's a really big issue for some people. But this one's kind of like a marker, and you can just color, you know, on your eye. It's nice because once it dries down, it's almost like kind of just smudge proof. Now, if you're doing eyeliner in the waterline or somewhere where you just want to kind of exaggerate a little bit more darkness, I really like this Rimmel London Exaggerate Waterproof Eye Definer in Blackest Black. I use this in the waterline up on the top right here. I apply it right there because it creates more of a volume effect in my lashes. It makes it look like they're thicker. And this one is also very dark. It doesn't have like a gray sheen, you know. We don't like gray toned black liners. If it says black, I want it to be super dark. So this one's really nice because once it dries down, it kind of stays. It works really well on the waterline for that effect. It doesn't really kind of move and budge, and it doesn't really bleed around all over my eyes. It also has a smudge tip on the other side, so if you want to do like a smoky eye, you can smudge out the eyeliner before it dries. And it also actually has this tip right here where you pull it out. It's not a sharpener because this is kind of like you spin it, but if you wanted to kind of make the tip more pointy and more precise, you can really put the pencil in there to get that precise tip so that you can get a thinner line. Fun facts. I feel like a lot of people don't know that that exists. Now we're going to move on to lips. Now I decided to stick to the same kind of color for lips, but tell you the different brands I like, because I know that this is the color that I like to use most, and it's kind of my go-to shade because it's so much easier to just go with a neutral tone. If you guys want like my favorite red lip colors or my favorite crazy like dark berry ones for the fall, I'd love to do that for you guys, but in a separate video. So this is the shade I usually go for, something that's more of a peachy neutral shade, just because that's the best color for my lips. If you're more of like a pink toned person, I'm sure you can find that in the same brands that I'm going to mention. But for lip liners, I don't necessarily use them all the time, but if I do, I really like the NYX lip liners, these pencil ones. They just work so well. They're pencil, so you do need to sharpen them. But this is in the shade Natural. It just like, again, works really nice. I used it today. They do have these retractable ones as well if you are someone who's into retractable ones. These are waterproof, like if you put them on, they really do dry down. This is in the shade Nude, I believe, and it's a little bit more of like a paler tone compared to the other one I was showing you. For lipsticks, CoverGirl recently came out with these cream, I guess they're their normal lipstick line, but they have cream, they have metallic, and I think they have a demi matte one. But I think that the creams ones are really nice. This is called Tempting Toffee. This one's a really, really pretty color. Again, something that I think is just really versatile, more of like a peachy neutral. And these are just lipsticks that are more comfortable for you to wear. And if you're someone who doesn't really mind if like you know, drink coffee or something, it ends up on your cup, these are the type of lipsticks that you can use. Now this is a Rimmel shade. This is a Nude Delight. Also more of like a nude peach shade. This one's a little bit lighter, but again, it has like a glossy type finish, so it just looks really pretty on the lips. Now the last one is from Burt's Bees. They came out with makeup recently, and this is in the shade Nude Mist, and it's a glossy finish, which is actually really, really pretty. And it is a little bit more pinky, but look at how nice that is. Now for liquid lipsticks, those are the types of lipsticks that I wear the most. They're usually in a container like this, and you pull it out and it almost looks like a lip gloss, but once you put it down, it dries. They can be a little bit more intimidating. There are a few brands out there like Wet n Wild that have ones that once you put it on, it kind of dries down, and good luck trying to take it off. Like even makeup wipes are kind of a tough one. You can't really rub it off. Those last really well, but if you're someone who's new to makeup, that can be a little bit intimidating because you make your lips a little wiggly. You can't really wipe it away and fix it immediately. So if you're beginning with liquid lipsticks, my two favorites are from Rimmel. They're Stay Matte. These are really nice because they give you some time to move it around to apply, but once they dry down, they're pretty dry, but they're a comfortable matte where it's not like you feel your lips are like looking for moisture. But my ultimate favorite one is Be My Baby. They do have one that's called Mocha and something else like On The Go. Those are also really, really good, but I really like the formula of these. Again, something really, really pretty, very similar to the other shades that I wear on the regular. And then the other one is the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream. I've used these from like way back when. I think that NYX was probably one of the first brands to send me makeup when I first started YouTube, but this is in Abu Dhabi. It's been my favorite forever. I've probably had like 3 bottles of this at least. But there's also another one called London that I have that is really similar. It's just a little bit more of a nude tone, more of like a gray undertone. This one's more of like a warmer tone. So I like this one, and I'm actually wearing that right now. And you can see it dries down matte, but it's comfortable. And if I were to kiss my hand right now, you can see it's like subtly comes off, but not too much. So this is more of, again, something that if you're going to drink and eat, it's going to stay on longer. That's why liquid lipsticks have gotten so much more popular than normal lipsticks lately. Now for lip glosses, I have two options that I really like. The first one is the Stay Glossy 3D lip glosses from Rimmel. Again, super affordable, but they're also really, really glossy. So if you're someone who likes lip gloss, these are good for you. I mean, look at how glossy that is. If I apply this on my lips right now, like, wow. It almost immediately creates this like brightness, and I love it. But the other one is if you want a lip gloss that has more pigment to it, so it's more of a color, and you could even wear these alone, honestly. This is the Butter Glosses from NYX. They have so many shades, like going to like deep purples and blues if you even wanted to. But this is more of like, do you see how it's like a pigment? It's almost like a liquid lipstick, but just glossy. So if you're looking for something like that, this is a really good option. They have so many different colors. You have to try them. The next thing we're going to talk about is a finishing spray. Now, I recently just did a video updating you guys on a technique that I mentioned like way when I first started this YouTube channel. It was basically finishing sprays and setting sprays and how much they affect like your makeup. It's the last step in your makeup look, and you put it on, spray it all over your face, and it kind of locks your makeup so that it lasts as long as possible. This is the NYX Matte Finish Spray. I really like this one, used it today, and the sprayer on here is amazing. I've tried the Wet n Wild one, do not like it. I've tried a few other ones, like LA Girl. The sprayer is a little iffy for me, but this one has been my ride or die for a while, so I ended up picking up a brand new bottle recently. The next thing I want to talk about is cleaning your makeup brushes. Makeup brushes are so essential, but they get so gross. I wanted to show you guys because especially if you're using it for foundation, it's not sanitary to go in with your makeup brush, use it for foundation, leave it, especially letting it collect dust, and then coming back the next day, putting more foundation on it and putting on your face. It's okay to do it for a couple of days, but eventually you're going to have to wash it or else it starts collecting gunk, looking really gross, and your makeup just does not apply as flawless. There's a few makeup brush cleaners available at the drugstore. These are for like in between your makeup. So you're using this after you finish your makeup, you go in and you do like spray this and you clean the brush. You can always use dish soap and water and let it dry overnight. That is how I wash my makeup brushes, but for like on the spot cleaning, these are really great. This is from e.l.f. This is the Daily Brush Cleaner. I think it's $3, and all you do is you spray your brush, and then I just take a towel or like a paper towel that I don't really like or use, because I don't really use this towel except for cleaning things, and you just wipe the brush, and do you see how it like just turned normal tones? Like it's clean now. So it's so much more sanitary. It smells fresh. If you do want to use a nicer brush cleaner, they have the Sonia Kashuk Quick Clean Dry Brush Spray. This one's $9, I think. This one's $3, so it's up to you which one you like and prefer more, but I use both of them. They're really, really great, essential for having on your makeup desk. Seriously. Also, cleaning these sponges is so important. I literally just used this one to apply my foundation. This is a brand new clean one. I clean this one with a cleaner I get from Sephora, but you can use your face wash. That works to clean this as well. So just like make sure you keep them sanitary, let them dry overnight. It's just, you don't want gunk building up in these. That's how you lead to breakouts on your face, and we want your skin beautiful and ready for the next day. Last thing I want to talk about is actually fake eyelashes. Now, I wear them on the regular basis, but if you're starting out with makeup, they're not essential. You don't have to. But I feel like I love wearing them every single day, and I wanted to mention my two favorite ones if you are interested. I did do a video talking about fake eyelashes from the drugstore. I'll make sure to link that down over here and also in the description box. But basically, I show you guys how to apply fake eyelashes, my favorite glues, that kind of stuff. So these are my faves. This is the Ardell Wispies. The Wispies are really, really great. I feel like they just kind of look really nice on all eye shapes. The next ones are actually newer to me. These are the Kiss 11s. I really like these. I wear these on an everyday basis, and actually really awesome. They come with a little tool that is kind of like a tweezer, but to put on your eyelashes. I actually took it out of here. It's like in my bin right there, but I don't want to take it out. But it works really nice to apply your lashes, so it like helps highly recommend. But yeah, that's basically it. That's all I have to say about my kind of essential kit from the drugstore. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Don't forget to go ahead and check out the video of me actually using these products on my face, because this tutorial, as much as it's like super simple, it's so pretty and glowy. And I mentioned a few like tips and tricks in that. So hopefully you learned something. I love you guys so much. Hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye!